a session to remember then for India. We thought we might see some action as this test match moves along on what is considered the moving day, day three in test cricket. And we've seen 4 wickets fall, which has significantly tilted the balance, you think, in favor of India. We look back at that session with Dan Vettori and Wasim Jaffer. And Dan left us a bit early as we were wrapping up our lunch show, which I must bring up now because Wasim just squeezed in the prediction. It was my fault, not yours, Daniel. You left on cue when you knew my rant at the end is going to yield with no response from you. But Wasim did say I won 3 wickets in that session, and he got it. So Wasim Jaffer would be very happy with that session.
Yeah, very pleased. And
Hmm.
again, like I said in the first session, the runs are not coming, and when runs doesn't come, then it puts pressure on the batters. And when one wicket fell, you get two and three, and that's exactly what happened. Once the set batter got out, Tom Latham got out to a very surprising shot. Then
Hmm.
obviously anybody coming in on that surface is going to be hard work because you got to play a lot of balls, and then the runs are not going to come easy. So that became a lot of problem for the batters coming in. So very good session for India, I would say.
Absolutely, Aksar Patel, chief architect of those of that session for India, and maybe Dan Torrey can break down why he was as good as he was, why he's even you think Dan outbowled Ravindra Jadeja, the evidence of at least that session.
Well, I think firstly, this is just what India do. I think we spoke about it. Wazim spoke about it that when you build that pressure in the economy, then things can happen very quickly, and that's what India have done, and that's what Axar Patel in particular did. And I think all he simply did was his accuracy allowed him to stay in the game, and then once he got a taste of that newer ball, that allowed his variations to be brought into play. So I don't think it's him trying to do too much. I think he understands that if it hits the right length, then the wicket will take over and the newish ball will take over, and that offered him his variations and his skill as his pace and his consistency and his accuracy. And he was brilliant today.
Is it fair to say that he still seems to get more out of the air, perhaps, than Jadeja Dan, the wicket of Tom Latham, who was stepping down quite a bit today in the course of his innings to the left arm spinner? What is it that Aksar perhaps just does a little bit differently than Jadeja?
I think it's more to the left-handers that he gets that drift, and I think if anything, his seam position allows that drift to happen. Not so much to the right-handers, but to the left-handers. He gets in a good position, whereas against the right-handers, he's quite wide of the crease, and his arms obviously has an angle that just slants it into the right-handers, and he lets the wicket do the work. But against the left-handers, I think it is his seam position, his release allows him to get a little bit more drift on the ball, and that means that he asks questions of left-handers that not all left arm spinners do. And I think the wicket of Latham was evident of that. He beat him in the air rather than off the wicket. The wicket did a lot of work for him, but it was the spin and the drift in the air that allowed that to happen.
Well, I just stick with you. I'm going to come to Wasim too. When you say left arm spinner's beaten a batter in the air, does that just make him sound? Does that put him at a higher, you could say, a skill set than contemporaries? Not all left arm spinners can beat batters in
Yeah,
the air. Conditions aren't challenging.
definitely, definitely.
Yes,
There's
Wasim.
no doubt. There's no
Hmm.
doubt about it. I mean, that was a very good wicket because he asked him to come out, and obviously he thought that the ball is going to pitch a little bit further than what he expected, and he got beaten in the flight and played the shot that probably he wouldn't want to play. Nice piece of stumping as well from Bharat.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a really good play from Aksar and Bharat.
Yeah, let's talk a bit more about KS Bharat, shall we, Wasim? And very good catch in the first session too to get Will Young. We talk about who India looking forward now in Test match cricket. Ridhiman Saha's 37, Bharat is in his mid 20s. Where do you see his place now as part of the Test setup once Rishabh Pant returns?
I think he's probably the third keeper in line for the Indian team because obviously when Rishabh Pant comes in, he's obviously going to take the field. But I think when Riddhiman Saha is not around, I don't know when is that. So, but definitely the selector is looking at him as a third option because he's had a good IPL. He's a quite consistent performer in domestic circuit. He had a very decent IPL as well. So he's one of those who plays different formats, and he's again come through the ranks, of first class grind, scored lots of runs, and always did well in the India A tours. So obviously he'll be relishing that opportunity.
Yeah, let's talk about the technique of the wicketkeeper, which sometimes has become a bit of a fad these days. It doesn't matter. People like Rishabh Pant tend to succeed, and you think, right, maybe it's a bit overrated. But Dan Vittori, when you're bowling spin on these sorts of surfaces, you've got a keeper who's showing a lot of confidence in catching pretty much everything. He did miss one, to be fair to him, but Bharat looks like a proper keeper, one with sound classical technique, you think?
Well, it is a partnership, and I think it's the partnership with the wicketkeeper and also the first slip fielder. I mean, Rahani's brilliant in that position, and I think obviously Brad's come in and done a decent job so far. So look, I think every good spinner will relish having a decent wicketkeeper behind the stumps, particularly in India where you're in play a lot more. When it's New Zealand conditions or English conditions, then you look at that partnership with the seam bowler, and they play a huge part in that, and not so much for the spinner. But in India, having that quality keeper, I think, just allows a bowler to have more options because he knows that the keeper will bail him out a lot. And I think the partnership is not just in taking catches; it's also in the conversations. The keeper understands when a spin bowler's bowling well and what he needs to do to bowl well when it's not going so well as well. So the partnership is the key.
All right. Now, looking at the match situation, we're looking at New Zealand still trailing Wasim by 96 runs. Run making is hard. What's their best option here on? Looks like Al Jameson, Tom Blundell being bogged down. What's their best chance to try and still stay in this game? Wasim? Yep.
Ronak, obviously India won't mind anyone playing time. That's exactly what New Zealand have done. They play time because when you lose one wicket, you lose two and three in succession, and that's exactly what has happened. So anybody plays time, I don't think India will mind that because they know when they pick one wicket, they're going to run through the next two and three. So in India, uh, obviously India would want a lead of around 50 or 60, and then obviously they dominate the test match from here on. But from New Zealand's perspective, they would look to come close to the Indian score and probably come a little quickly as well. Because if you just keep, having a defensive approach, I don't think India will mind that.
Can you play shots on this service if you're Jameson and if you're Blundell, Dan Vittori? Would you be given the license to?
I think so. I think that's their nature as well. Sometimes in these situations, you see proper batsmen battle away and they get themselves in trouble and they can't score any runs, and then a tail ender comes out and plays a few shots, and the field gets spread, and everyone questions why couldn't that have happened earlier. And I think we'll see that with Jameson. We'll definitely see it with Southey when he comes into bat, and that could get New Zealand up to that 300, 320 score where they can be competitive. And in the back of their minds, they'll just be thinking about what can they chase. And so this is the start of that. How many runs can they eat into that deficit, and then they have to put the pressure back onto India.
How do you see India starting after this session, Wasim? They obviously want to try and wrap up these last four wickets, but wicket taking still isn't coming, in a matter of a few overs. They have to work their way through wickets. Do you start with Akshar Patel straight away? Would you give the seamers much of a ball?
I think you need to start with Akshar because he's the one who's bowling really well, and then there's a possibility they would go to a fast bowler and see if anything stays low or get a reverse swing. So as long as they are bowling in tandem and not leaking away too many runs, I
Yeah.
don't think India will mind that. But like obviously I said, anybody, I mean, in India, is either a slow death or a faster death. But death is confirmed because you need to make the pace. If you don't make the pace, then India don't mind that.
What are you going to choose, Dan Vittori, from the two options Wasim's given?
Well, because I didn't listen to you after the post show, I would have thought there was a slow death if I'd listened to you. So I will hope that New Zealand take it on. I think they have to, particularly this group of batsmen to come. Tom Blundell is free scoring, Jameson as well, and like I said, Southey, and then Patel and Somerville will have to complement whatever they did. So let's hope they get more. From a New Zealand perspective, they get close to that 350, and then it'll be a bit of fun from the next 2 days in the Test match.
Okay, give me the prediction. You've given me what you hope for. Do you think New Zealand will get anywhere near that 350? They're not that far away. Quick 40, 50 run
No,
partnership.
no, I think they will. I think they'll come out with a game plan, and Blundell will take the lead, and he'll look to be a little bit more aggressive. And I think he'll hope that the seamers stay on, and I think Jameson will hope the seamers stay on because that they'll feel a little bit more comfortable with that rather than straight up against spin. So if they get that luxury, then they'll be a little bit more aggressive. But it is about getting over 300 first and foremost, and then anything over that is a bonus.
All right, Wasim, prediction for this session as we wait for stumps.
I think India will be happy with a lead of 60, close to
Hmm.
60, 70. But I think even a lead of 50 won't be bad on that pitch. And then India hopefully will come out and score runs and make the game of it. And they need to give them some time to pick up 10 wickets because it's
Yeah.
going to be hard work to pick 10 wickets again.
All right. I think Wasim's already on that line of this is going to be an India win either sooner or later, and we're just going by evidence of what we've seen. But we'll see if New Zealand have something to say about that. Dan Vittori, Wasim Jaffer, more from you at Stumps on ESPN Cricket for Match Day. Join us then. Looks like India firmly in control. Never know if the quick couple of partnerships of New Zealand can at least make a case to stay in this game. They certainly have done that for a large part of their response in the second innings. Fascinating final session lined up. Join us at the end of it.